we not think that a thriving democracy could turn into a dictatorship? Will we be graded at one point by our children a few months or a few years from now as being complicit with the formation of a totalitarian government? I love America. I love the freedoms that we have to talk about these issues. And I'm saddened by the arrogance of our government, the hypocrisy, the bravado, the addiction to narcissistic endeavors of gouging the earth for the sake of our own comforts, the dependency on oil. What about the dialogue in our own civilization here of like coming back into a respectful, participatory involvement with the globe rather than a dominator metaphor of saying that this is the way in which we want to live called America Incorporated? I say it's time to come home and have a collective Rosa Parks that says no more oil at the expense of other cultures. Let's go buy electric cars. Let's basically minimize our dependency on the very things that we need the most. I think society in America right now has a wonderful opportunity for collective civil disobedience against our government. Collective civil disobedience, collective civil disobedience, collective civil disobedience against our government. Thank you from my heart for coming out tonight. Wonderful opportunity. A few disclaimers, if I may. I've been told that this is probably something appropriate for this crowd here, although this show contains mature subject matter and assorted blasphemies and way too frequent use of the F word, I might add, for only ontological reasons. So if you have some form of judgment, save it. Your sorry ass will be totally obliterated by the end if you do judge me. And a variety of other verbal obscenities. However, it does not contain violence, killing, genocide, rape, or nudity. You have to watch TV for that. I've been told, a couple of people told me that the folks on Whidbey, South Whidbey I'm told, not North Whidbey, South Whidbey, that literally the intelligentsia is mixed here with deep liberal thought, a remarkable sensitivity to these substructures of fear and aggression, and do all that they possibly can to interrupt the habit of their own conformity to anything whatsoever. So no matter what I say, you will find it funny. And I'm also told that no matter what I say here, no matter where I go, that it will be absolutely applauded because people here have no such thing as the banality of denial and the banality of projection. And they love laughing at themselves, even when you exercise from the depths of their psyche, their own latent, Republican, inner wounded, evangelical Christian child. Thank you from my heart for daring to come out tonight, to exercise that apathy and beauty from your heart, to share everything that you know is love. For no other reason than the beauty of being free. We're able to be free in this country tonight. Can we really exercise the beauty of our fundamental human right to say anything we want? Am I okay with that? Yeah? I've been told that anywhere in this country there's no place that's more liberal than Mill Valley. And that you will not use me as your voodoo doll. Please, I am not here to project your repressed Republican bullshit on nothing. Nothing, nothing, nothing. I am here to love. I'm a hypersensitive guy. I am rejection prone, so please, I invite you to really share a remarkable moment of beauty tonight in this weird, maddening miracle of life. Anyone on drugs? No matter what you think you know about your identity, you are not who you are. Any good spiritual person knows that who you think you are is not the real you. Now, I'm a Buddhist who obliterated his sense of self. So identity is something I have no clue about. I've had to reconstitute lots of different identities. I have no clue what I'm saying and what I'm doing. So when I go through fucking immigration, when they ask, who are you? I think it's some kind of fucking Zen koan. just an aside to this. I recently went to a psychiatrist for a variety of problems. And they're the only ones who have drugs that you can actually do and not be addicted to. So among the various diagnoses that he came up with, he said, do you realize you've got MAD syndrome? I said, what? He said, MAD, M-A-D, you've got multitasking addiction disorder. I said, what the fuck's wrong with that? That's a talent in Buddhist meditation. No, you are so able to be with so many different things at once that you can't get anything done. The guy wanted to put me on Valium and Prozac so that he could slow me down to be more focused in what I was doing. Listen, one of the things you learn in the monastery is that there is no place to go. So you don't hurry up through one breath to get to the next breath. Whoa, this is a career move. And I was trying to exercise my spiritual life in daily life, which I'm miserable at doing. I'm really good at meditating, but as soon as it comes to integrating it with human beings, fuck you. I don't like people. I don't like people. And people don't like me. That's why I meditate. Peace within, fuck the world. So I'm trying to get my spiritual career jump-started and get it off the meditation cushion. And so here's my 1 hour out, walking down to the store, the express line, practice compassion in action, love in action, meditation in action, mindfulness in action, truth in action. Be the bodhisattva that you really are, Alan. What the fuck are you doing in line like that? I don't know about you, but I live with 2 and 3 tier level dialogues all the time. There's, of course, the fraud that's smart and intelligent and vulnerable and always broke. Then beneath that, there's the guy who's constantly right, in contempt, and generally repressing his dislike of who he's hanging out with. And then beneath that, there's some hope of his vulnerability, some compassion towards self, barely at all towards anyone else. And beneath that, there's a huge reservoir of terror, that there's no fucking money for the rent, that you're getting old, you're still single, and it's sucks. And there's no hope of integrating all these voices. So I pretend out on the surface to actually develop a spiritual life that fucking doesn't translate. So, letting you in on my internal world is basically a pretense. And I think pretense is a learned kind of acquired neurosis to help us basically go quietly insane together. But to really open up to the deeper dimensions of our interior world, that is very complex. Could you imagine walking down the main street of any city here in Portland, and all of a sudden you've basically taken so deeply into your soul the belief of being truthful, open, and authentic wherever you go, moment to moment. Could you imagine in the world how different it would be if we just walked down the street and told each other what we think?
I was recently in Kona. God forbid anyone ever go to fucking Kona. I mean, it's like walking into Jurassic Park without the dinosaurs. It seems like one artificial golf course. It's like Las Vegas in the Pacific. I don't know what it is, but it's a weird-ass place. Good people, but strange. I was there, and I'm not proud to say it. I saw this tourist there. I don't know whether it represented lots of tourists, and please don't scream at me. But I was practicing compassion. It was like a Monday, and I felt like Monday is a day I want to practice compassion. And so literally, I was walking through the airport, and there was this big fat bitch. I mean, she was so fucking large, I couldn't tell you how big she was. And she had that roll behind her neck. She was from Oklahoma. She had a Big Mac in her hand. She was baked red like a lobster. She had these fucking sandals on, like a something from Bali. And I was a big fucking roll. I just went, fuck, have compassion, Alan. This could be you. And I'm behind in the Aloha line, waiting, and she looks, where are you from? And you go, Boston. and lower my head. And it's like everything I've done in my life, all my enlightenments, all of my mindfulness, all of my yoga, all of my conscience, all of my activism, all of my memories of being with Nobel laureates, all of my goodness, all of my depth, had no ability to fend off my judgment. What are you doing here? And I said, I'm doing a performance called Spiritually Incorrect. I'm going to come then and bring my husband. Come on over. And we looked over, and her husband was checking out this beautiful looking, like 25-year-old girl. And she looked at him, and we both looked at each other, and we just had a moment of tenderness. It was like, but really we had a moment where it was like all defenses stopped. We had a moment of intimacy. We're behind the veil. Her husband basically had betrayed her so long ago, and she became consumed with all of these things to fend off the stupidity of this asshole. And so she's numbing herself in order to contend with this dick. And I basically had all this projection on her, and she said, stop looking, come on over here. Right out of Brooklyn or something. He come over here and introduced him. Nice people, and I instantly saw all of this fucking judgment in me. And his left basically shook my hand, came to my show, and it was a wonderful opportunity to see what a shallow person I can be. You wouldn't dare say these got a thing, because the pretense is so thick and the conformity is so aligned that we've congealed way up at the top of this huge, huge pile of nonsense complicity with identities that are so goddamn shallow that when we finally do meet someone that drops us into our heart, we go like, God, I can't believe I finally met my soulmate. So, in other words, I think there's so much to be said with opening the mind and really letting truth be known. How do we really feel as humans? Because we know we're getting it wrong on the level of society and politics. We're so in denial of our interior world that our response to things that we don't like is to kill it. I guarantee you, if we lifted the veil of oppression from the heart, the whole world wouldn't return to its savage instincts. My sense, it would be a garden. My sense is what we see generally in society is the result of denial, the result of oppression. Are you with me? Okay, can we go deeper? Just thought I'd get that off my chest. But I was saying that people on Maui fucking do the most ordinary things, like inherit a couple of $1 million, take on the accoutrements of looking like a spiritual person, take on a name change, get a mala, get christened by the Dalai Lama, get some crystals, join the yoga class, and you're fucking free of anxiety. Who wouldn't be? Jesus Christ, a new breed of spiritual materialists on Maui. And I said, for 30 goddamn years, I've been struggling desperately from the inside out, trying to figure out who I am, trying to understand a bit of peace. Failed mission. More neurotic now than ever in my life. But people on Maui, a simple fucking name change, and they're fucking happy. Fair enough. Govinda, Shiva, Lingam, you call it. A name change, cosmetic spiritual circuitry, and all of a sudden you Botox that fucking sorry-ass ego of yours right back into the oblivion of everyone else's ego. No wonder there's no ego on the island. The whole island is ego fest. My friend says, Alan, come on. Just change your name. Be happy. And this is dead seriously true. I said, fuck it, I'm going to go with it. I said, who will I be? I never really liked myself that much. You might notice that. That's why I've done so much ardent spiritual work, is that some mystery in there that's primarily about self-loathing. But you never get to the bottom of it. You actually cultivate it the more you train in. All you can do is be honest about it, believe me. Well, who do you want to be? That's a good question. I said, who I want to be is someone different than I am. Anyone like that? I have a wish list. I don't know about you. But I would like to be, I said to him, this is true, I said, I think I want to be Alejandro. My name Alejandro Placebo, I said. My name Alejandro Placebo Domingo. I had never felt better in my life. He said, placebo or placido? I said, no operatic singer here. Placebo, good as the real thing, I said. Alejandro Placebo Domingo, need no teacher, no training, need no method.
He loved the woman, I said. Alejandro loved the woman whether she had big breasts or small breasts or no breasts. She need no fucking silicone, no fucking Botox. Alejandro even loved the cellulite, unlike spiritual men. Alejandro need no breath watching. Alejandro vulnerable, sensitive, but he can stand up for himself. Alejandro does yoga by being in his life and his body. He need no dirty dog or sun salutation. Alejandro Placebo Domingo is the real thing. I did this. It's like when you don't work, what the fuck else do you do?
As I'm seeing it today, God seems to resemble the consciousness of a suicide bomber. Sorry to say that. But if we're all God's children in this great, huge, obedient eternity, how can we separate ourselves from the guy in Jerusalem, and the girl in the West Bank, and the person in Sudan, and the person in wherever shooting a rifle?
But I was thinking of this cause and effect principle, if you can bear with me. You know, I think that's a kind of an interesting idea. Imagine if, like, you took your kids to Sunday school in the Catholic tradition. And over the Sunday school, it said, like, this could be completely detrimental to your entire future of your child's life. I think it should be mandatory that we tell the truth and show cause and effect. I'm not blaming anyone. Believe me, I'm only here to help support the redemption of all stupid people, including myself. This went largely unnoticed in the press when what's this guy's name? The head of the church, the Catholic guy, the Nazi Pope, what's his name? But he said my predecessor, Pope John Paul II, had to combat two forms of totalitarianism, that of communism, that of Nazism. And I, as the next Pope, have to confront another form of dictatorship called the totalitarianism of relativism. Did you see that? Dash. The theology that there is no absolute truth, meaning like I'm the head of a billion people and I know really what makes the universe tick-tock, tick-tock. Essentially he's saying that I know absolute truth, capital A, capital T. The cult of certainty, absolute truth. What is absolute truth? Who are these people that get off on thinking that they understand everything there is to know about everything? Absolute. Did I go to school or did I miss that class when absolute meant everything?
And so I have to say, tonight I'm going to take a risk that, and honestly, I'm going to call for a campaign of sexual disobedience towards all preachers and teachers and pundits and followers and people all over the planet who espouse hell. Over. Let that story go, whoever created it. Naughty, naughty, naughty. Naughty, 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 you Tibetan Buddhists, for threatening us with hell if we're not a good Tibetan tantric yogi and yogini in this life. You're going to go to hell. Naughty, naughty, naughty for teaching that bad teaching. And all you Catholics out there, I'm from the Pope on down, naughty, naughty, naughty for being predator pedophiles. Enough of that hell and heaven story, don't you think? What the hell's wrong with being human right now? Let's live it. Fuck hell. And I really mean that. I'm tired of being threatened by afterlife in an eternal cauldron of bullshit. There's a much better way to control human beings. It's called living as a free human being and respecting the liberation of others. I mean, Jesus was a good guy. I almost know nothing about the dude except from Franco Zeffirelli's movie. I mean, I can't read that Bible. But I like Jesus. He was like the metaphor of radical authenticity, wasn't he? I mean, he had no credentials. He let his hair grow. He took off his Birkenstocks. He wore his robe. He quit his measly job. He was just a carpenter. And he just walked the land and talked about love. He wasn't looking for a guest spot on Oprah. He wasn't looking for a book agent to square him off a six-figure book deal, was he? He wasn't taking notes to teach a seminar on God consciousness. It would have been a very different story if Jesus had gone and got his doctorate. Could you imagine that? Jesus Christ, PhD in God consciousness?
You know, I don't know about you, but America is, among all of our attributes, it's a fucking culture of blame, isn't it? He did it, she did it, George did it, they did it, anything but we did it. And you know, America must be probably the scapegoat capital of the fucking solar system. No matter what we think and what we do, someone over there is the source of the problem. I was recently watching some videotapes of some research done by a Stanford neuroscientist, I think, and he was studying the role of stress and trauma on rats. Good Republican experiment. And these poor rats were like in a cage, and they were every now and again being shocked. They had their, like, every 30 seconds they had a 9/11. And the poor rats, when they didn't have a way to release the stress and the trauma of their own unique 9/11, they kind of shriveled up after 20 or 30 little electromagnetic shocks and just died. But when they put another rat in the cage, and the poor rat was shocked, the rat just instinctually, like a good neocon, absolutely bit and pummeled his other rat friend in the cage. The transference of suffering and aggression. Does that sound familiar? Maybe I think this is like really the operative matrix of the Bush regime. If you feel it and it hurts, shoot.
Drugs are like overrated. You know, I'm not one for legalization. I'm for fucking mandatory use. And I say that lightly. I mean, I say that with sincerity. I mean, I say that with conviction. And not just anyone, not like people like us. We've already done our share. That's why we're so enlightened. You know, but I think selectively there should be like a, you know, I mean, you need a license, for example, to be a psychotherapist, just to talk about the human heart. For God's sake, you need a license to fish up in Canada. For God's sake, you do not need a license to be a fucking president. All you need to do is lethally be able to kill and lie. And so I think it should be a mandatory, compulsive act, a policy, a drug use policy, that if you are a president, a prime minister, or a priest, the three Ps, the three pestilence, that you should be, under the guidance, of course, of an existential psychoanalyst like myself, you must use, the minimum requirement would be marijuana, ecstasy use under tremendously sensitive guidance, a little bit of ayahuasca, DMT, 5-MeO, some acid, not too much of it, but just to assure us that your fucking skull is not cracked. Why is it illegal? So I'm putting forth tonight mandatory use for anyone who runs for president. Mandatory use. I said, hey, George W., listen, man, you know, I said, you know, the guy's got acute denial toxicity disorder. I mean, for example, the other day, he was in Japan, and shockingly to me, he was asked, of course, like, why, Mr. President, didn't you sign on to the Kyoto Accord? You know, of course, to save the planet from all the various gases that come from all the cars that we drove here tonight. And George, in his unblinking style of confidence and nuance, he actually dared say, well, I didn't sign on because it would be harmful for the American economy. I went, hey, I had to think about it for a minute. I had to think about it. I said, that is fucking Ivy School logic if I ever heard it. Fucking, let's destroy the planet and kill all inhabitants for the sake of the American economy. And I had this image arise of like, you know, 20 years from now, the world is completely singed and burned, and somehow through this parched earth, it grows back up and regenerates, and American economy is still running. I mean, Microsoft is still there, the Dow Jones is still ticking, and the country is run by Republican roaches.
Oh, man, I can't believe it. The Bush and Cheney and Rumsfeld. I wish they were in the room right now. threatening us that if we're against the war, it's an act of treason. Can you imagine that? Man, what in the hell are these guys thinking they're trying to do, hijacking our minds like this? Gurus are nothing. They're on the same side as us. I mean, I love them. I mean, I won't want to have dinner with them, but fuck them. But it's those politicians we got to be really watchful of. Man, those guys are really after mind share. They're trying to manufacture a type of consensus here that I am not going to go along with the flow. This is called anti-flow dharma now. We got to be very vigilant not to buy the bullshit, don't you think? Really.
If I were a Republican and I was having I was a big consumer and really bloated, and I paid, no taxes, and I liked seeing innocent people bleed all over the place for the sake of my comfort, how could I justify the president being like a really good person? You know what I'm saying? He's sort of like doing America's bidding, isn't he? He's like, isn't America like a country of like consumers gouging the resources of the planet disproportionately to almost every other culture in the world? Does that somehow exclude the majority of us, or am I involved in that complicity at all? I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm asking an open question. To me, it seems as if without George Bush doing what we're doing, somehow stealing oil of a limited nature and securing it for our interests, who's going to do it? What's going to happen when the oil dries up? What's going to happen when gas prices get to $10, $12 a gallon? Will we be able to survive that kind of crisis? Like if I had one wish on Earth, it would be of someone in this room, someone on Earth, someone who had a child, some kid in London or Paris, somewhere in Prague, somewhere in Kahului, somewhere in this moment, some physicist, some scientist, some young girl dancing in the magic of her own authenticity, someone somewhere in a dreamscape, something intuitively comes up, pharmaceutically, entheogenically, organically, intuitively, through some form of natural substance, something internal, some kind of serum that basically functions to go right down deep into the human soul, the human psyche, way past the images, way past the perception of my individual enlightenment, way down deep into the genetic coding, way back, so far back that it goes to the primordial essence of the human heart. And right down there, they put a big, beautiful syringe that injects all of the genes of eternity with the beauty of nonviolence. And all of a sudden, we fucking take the teeth out of the genetic coding. To me, I think the ultimate issue I'd like to see addressed is how can we stop killing each other in the name of anything? So basically, the whole existential dilemma to me is really the ultimate mind bomb. Who's living at the level of politics as they intersect with the mystery of the existential? This is what I'm saying about how easy it would be to demonize George Bush, but will the war machine stop? Will the war machine stop? And I think that's really where the good souls on Earth are really trying to find their pulse, their activism on who is on the side of pulling back the weapons and saying enough in the name of oil, in the name of America, in the name of truth. When are we going to fucking burn the flag of nationalism and restore the beauty of Earth?
When I ask myself today, who's my guru, who's my teacher, who's my guide, who's my God, I hold up my right index finger like this. Please follow after me if you wish. Put it up. What am I saying? What am I asking myself here? I'm asking myself that there are no two fingerprints the same the last time I registered it. That means to me that there are no two human beings that will do life the same. Wow, what about the 7 steps to spiritual success? What about the infinite steps to spiritual being? Well, God, I thought I was going to bypass being human here. We are infinitely embedded in this unbelievable thing called human identity. And it's so diverse that these mind states of who we think we are is like an archipelago sitting on this infinite ocean of mystery. And this infinite ocean of mystery is biologically connected at this very moment to like 500 million cells simultaneously orchestrating. And just beneath that infinite ocean of humankind, we sit on a globe, an ecosphere, a biosphere. Wow, we're a breathing lung. One whole human being species of insects and birds and dolphins and oceans and clouds and sky, bright stars and galaxies upon galaxies, embedded within a submolecular eternity at this very moment that's happening simultaneously in this moment now. And we sit in this mystery thinking that we can figure it out.
Thank you. From my heart. Thank you, Madison.